So Epic Tales, Legendary Tales, sorry, has received its first update since the game came out. Just going to bring that information up now. We know it to be... Oh, okay, so it's gone up 2 versions. It's gone from 1.000.013 to 0.015. Okay, so slight updates, as they would say. It was a 400 megabyte update. It was at 6.96 gigabytes when it installed. The size it took up on the drive was 6.99. The fact that it's still saying 6.99 suggests that 400 megabytes of data was actually altering data. Okay, so it wasn't additive data. It wasn't like, oh, now we've got all this extra text. They've gone in and they've changed little bits of data, right? So they've added 400 meg, but it's actually inserted itself into the code. So it's probably changed up what we had. That was my experience. I ran through the tutorial level again. That was the video before this one. It felt a lot smoother. And when I say a lot smoother, I mean the sort of things that would normally give me the punch in my belly that made me would go, ooh, ooh, ooh. And usually it was just altitudinal changes, climbing ladders and falling. That stuff dropped right off. There was the first skeleton you come across, when he goes to swing his blade, he's holding it at a diagonal angle. And in the version 0.013, or the launch version, you could see jaggies down the blade. It looked quite aliased at the middle distance when the skeleton was about 2.5 meters in game away from you. Seeing the exact same spot, exact same skeleton, exact same blade in this version, it feels like the anti-aliasing is running at 2 times or 4 times what it was running at. Like, it's substantially improved. So yeah, it might just be the filter over the screen. It might be a final pass, don't know. But yeah, it looks like if there's an aliasing stage, kind of feels like it made the jump from 90 to 120. It is just that much easier to interact with. So I zoomed through the tutorial. I think they've improved the interaction boxes. They've probably tweaked a few little things along the way. Probably the one thing I'd be looking forward to is just the ability to reduce the hold button downtime. When you get a prompt you've got to clear in the tutorial stage, it takes like 3 seconds or something each time you hold the button down. If I could drop that down to 2 or 1.5 seconds, I'd be pretty happy. But not an option in the menu yet. That's okay. These guys have been working non-stop. They've put out a game, and they've continued to work basically non-stop to improve the game at that launch period, which is good. And if you're the captain of the ship, you'd want that from your crew, but also as the captain of the ship, you've got to give your crewmates leave, otherwise eventually they rebel against you. So in the norm in the game industry is once you've got your product shipping, a lot of the team finally get their first break, sometimes in years, first time they get to spend an actual weekend with loved ones. So look, these guys are doing the due diligence. It's fantastic to see a 400 megabyte patch come out in less than 7 days of the software launching. Which is refining the software even further. It's as we all know, that the version 1 that launched was such a significant update over the early access game that's kind of why they're now charging a fair price for it. The nature of early access is so that's the PC build, not the PlayStation build, but the game was in early access. The reason why game developers put software in early access for a cheap price point is the idea that you're not exposing yourself to a lot of negative reviews. You're giving your software at a budget price point, so people that want to test it out can test it out. They can give you meaningful feedback, and so that when you launch your version 1 product, it has been play tested by more than just friends and family or whatever 100 play testers you could scrounge together. It has potentially had a wider play base. We've seen games benefit from that. Baldur's Gate 3 came out for physical software release after many years of being on early access. If you look at the discounts that's been applied to Baldur's Gate over the many years it's been available, it's never really dropped by more than 10% in price point. Legendary Tales is the same thing. The developers seem to be honouring the fact that if we can get proper software prices from you, rather than the software always being on sale, therefore its actual price is a fake price, it looks like they're going for proper full-priced software for this type of title, but with the intention of continuing to deliver a improved, refined experience. And that certainly fits with what I've seen of the studio when I read through the forums over the years, how they've responded or how they've treated the public. They did make it evident, I've said this in an earlier video, they made it evident a year or so in that every time they put out a patch or an update, it takes them out of the software development loop so much that it was actually getting in the way of them improving the software. That this micromanaging small incremental builds, they just wanted to get away from. They saw a benefit to their team in putting out significant updates less frequently. And that was the pathway they committed to. I mean, in the years they were building it to market, they updated the Unreal Engine version several occasions, and sometimes they found that newer builds of the Unreal Engine were giving them less performance on some platforms, maybe the PC. That they've kind of reverted back on that. Why do I intimate that less on PC? Look, I'm a Ninja PC user myself. I understand that the PC platform has a lot more grunt than the PlayStation. The PlayStation's very optimized silicon though. The modified RDNA 2 that is in the system had feedback from Epic Games when Sony said to them, what do we need to do to the silicon to make it good for you guys? They were building Unreal Engine 5 at the time. They've changed the cache up in the middle of the chip in a feedback way that possibly allows for feedback physics for the first time ever, really in a meaningful way that we've ever had. The cache data might be accessible to both the video cards / GPU at the simultaneously, and that does allow benefits in terms of just reference libraries. That having potentially physicable objects on screen that are interacting with graphics. So I have the belief that feedback cache that was the modified RDNA 2 design is a large part of the Tempest sound engine, but if it isn't, then it's certainly something that Epic Games will be making use of with the Unreal Engine 5. Everyone that's looked at the PlayStation architecture has said that, look, it's going to be probably 2027 before PCs as a hardware build have access to the sorts of functionality that the PlayStation 5 has by default. Whether that was people forecasting that it would be 2027 before 5% or a significant percentage of the PC market would have hardware of that level, i.e. the hardware might be coming out this year, and bit by bit the early adopters will have it, but you've got to have an install base of a certain size before you start building software to use certain hardware features. So getting back to my rant and rave about Legendary Tales, it appears that the developers did play with Unreal Engine 5 with it. They did find that it was possibly affecting their minimum hardware cut-off spec. It was going to cost them sales. There was going to be less people they could sell the software to. So they just went, look, we're already hardcore RPG, which is a niche inside of a niche. You know, we're not going to sell a lot of software sales. We're already on a platform that has limited hardware install base. We're already saying we only want a very thin slice of the software sales pie. And that is why the software is at a price point that if you believe in the software, absolutely buy it, because it's very rare. Even back in the 90s, hardcore RPGs weren't 5% of the market, right? But if you start building a hardcore RPG for less than selling hardware sales for, a niche market, you've got to make those sales. So you've either got to sell it really cheap and sell a lot of units, or sell it for a reasonable price point, sell less units, but these guys look like they're going to continue to support it. They're going to take that money that they've now got for the first time in all these years of development. They've actually got a little bit of kitty to play with. They might get voice actors in. Who knows? We might have a whole bunch of things that change in the game now that they realise they've got a product that has probably got legs. 5 years from now, people will still probably be saying, oh, this is the game to play. Or this was a fantastic, version of a virtual role-playing medieval fantasy world. We haven't really had any with legs. So the fact that it's multiplayer is just a bonus. Written from the ground up to be multiplayer in this sort of environment is just fantastic. Everything really feels fantastic when you interact with it. Anyway, less talking, more playing. As I did the tutorial just before this, as the video before this, so I'll probably just now play it. But I won't play it multiplayer online just yet. I'm just going to run around the opening area again. I did that yesterday. I'm just going to be, for myself, comparing 0.013 version to 0.015 version, that is launch version, versus first patch version. So I'm just going to run around the first zone and give that a try. Thank you for being with me. I do appreciate the long lead-ins. I don't do that on every video, but sometimes if there's things to be talked about, I just like to do so and keep everyone educated. All right, let's get into it. So anyone who's watching me gear up right now can actually see just how easy it is to get this set up. It is stupidly easy, like really, really easy. Okay, so I can continue from yesterday's character, where you can see I played for 22 minutes. Now I started with a level 1 character where I divvied 5 and 5 on strength and dex. And obviously it's what you're using in the game is how it levels up. Now I love systems that do that. We're kind of doing it in Oblivion and various other games. Some role-playing games do that. That is, you don't really have to assign your points when you level up. Just whatever you're doing in game is the skill set you are going to level up. So I always think that's fantastic. But at this point, I might just go new character. I'll build it exactly the same as I had built yesterday. So +5 there, +5 there. That should be all my points spent. And I should just be able to go. Right, so there we go, brand new character. Oh, okay, so Dex didn't go up at all, Strength went up 3 points. When I went up a level, I had a point to spend on the secondary skills. I put that into luck. Okay, so that's me now, that's this character. I'm going to run around. Oh, I didn't have this yet. Oh, yes, I did. Single or multi. Right, so that's where I can choose that. Normal, I guess, must be the difficulty level, assuming that once you've completed, I guess, the campaign at a certain difficulty level, you might be able to crank it up. Alright, so I've just got to pull on the screen with the heading of the game. Don't know if everyone else has that. But that was a load screen. It seems pretty quick. Right, so I'm now in town. I started in a different location to where I started yesterday. No, probably not. Okay. So there was a lot of visible aliasing against all the weapons on that wall there from a distance. They actually had like a little highlight around them. But everything's looking good. Do me a favour. Right. Yep. 10 of the corrupted peasants. Alright, we'll give me a shot. Right. Yeah, Near Town Blacksmith, that's good. You're only temporary, the drawbridge is up. Some lass who we thought knew what was going on went to investigate the drawbridge. She's gone missing. We don't really know what that's all about. If you can find information about her, you'll be doing us a favour. Blah, 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 blah. So that's a storage chest in town where I can obviously put things. This looks like a spell casting table. Now whenever I walk over to things, it seems to just automatically interact with them by bringing out my inventory and stuff. So it looks like I've done a few things there. I think out of the corner of my eye, as I started to look at the fire, the flames built up. Yeah, there's definitely an aliasing across the bench, which I didn't notice yesterday. So it might be what they're doing now is they're pushing for 120 frames a second, and they've made some shortcuts. Well, they're having other things render at a lesser budget, arguably, lesser resolution. Yeah, so the text on the board for me in that middle distance is funky in a way that I just didn't pick up on yesterday. Now, it could just be that I put my helmet on a little bit wrong, things aren't aligned quite right. But at this point, okay, now based on my sound, so because I'm not using headphones, I feel my sound's coming from over there. I'm just going to, yeah, okay, so one of the best things about this game is how quick I lose my sense of position in the room. I've played enough titles to not have that happen very often, and I've come to learn that this game is just so immersive that it's a little bit unique. The reason I do that is because there's coins that get dropped here. You can just put your hand over them and pull the down arrow, the Joy-Con, sorry, the analog thumbstick on your right hand control. If you pull it towards you when you've got an object, you'll pick it up. Not for these crystals though. So I'm just going to put my sword away, actually pick it up. You can now break it and then put it away. I might as well break it. Once you do that, you can actually, oh, okay, so here's something. The things you get in the tutorial, you lose when you come into this game. So, looks like I'm back to starting with basic controls. I haven't got my axe, my hatchet or anything. Okay, so a little bit basic. So is it worth picking up all the coins? So this is where I was saying if you look at it and hit down on your Joy-Con, you'll just pick it up, which is quite handy. I think my mistake I first made is I kept putting my weapon away to make it available so I could get my coins. But you can just pick them up pretty straightforward. Let me just confirm I've got by coins. It was written somewhere. Oh, there, sorry. Right, so there's probably about 600, 700 coin to pick up in this opening area before you really get to the peasants or the next quest. Might be worth, you know, having the extra money. Oh, I just want to put my knee up into them. I've got to put like little wee sports pads on my legs. so that the PlayStation can track my my limbs better. I'm all for that. Now just then I tried on the cable connecting this headset to the console. That's the first time, probably the second time I've done that in a year. Very, very rare actually. I just found my head was being pulled back. I've always found that by running the cable over my shoulder, I've never had an issue. I must admit I don't feel free to just be turning around like crazy. I am generally aware that it's there. It's never been an issue. So what people at home don't get is the sense of scale when you're looking at these sorts of things. The sense of looking at a giant cathedral in the distance that actually feels huge. I mean, that moon is just fantastic. For it to be like that, you expect it to be low over the horizon, so you get that that lens magnification effect that the Earth can do with the atmosphere. But look, what you might not see at home, because I'm on an OLED screen, and where OLED's greatest strength is not in extreme brightness, it's actually down in the lower part of the contrast range, in the blacks and the darkness. And so the subtlety here of having low light cliff face with rocks and having skeletons in colour that aren't much different to the rocks, but the subtlety of their movement in front of such rock face and light sources, and when things step into the light, it really popping, feeling like, oh wow, there it is. I didn't know there was something over there. Oh, can get my shield lower for them. Right. And then the next one kind of moseys in. And I can see that one over there is moseying in. But look, it's just fantastic. Alright, something happened there. Was that me going up a level? Potentially. Let's have a look, shall we? Okay, so primary level 2. I haven't got points to spend there yet, but I think one of them did go up. My strength is now up a point. So what you'll find if you read through the description of each item, it'll tell you up in the points. They say these weapons use dexterity, these weapons use strength. So it might be the combination of these here are strength-based skills. Certainly the notion of pushing back my shield. It felt like he dropped something there. Okay, now so I have set my white lines to be quite aggressive. That is my barrier, my borderline for my play zone. So I think because my hand's over here, I'm getting a barrier drawn up. I'll step over here a little bit, it's probably better. It does feel in many ways higher res, in other ways feel a little lower res. There's times when I'm looking at text at a distance, or as I said, the outlines in the blacksmith's hut, where it suggested that they've kind of upped the anti-aliasing and down, like it is very high res, don't get me wrong. But now that I can see the detail in the skeleton's rib cages at a distance and the speed that they're animating at, it just feels like they've improved in between patches. I can't imagine the resolution I'd be running at on PC to make those rib cages render like that. It would take a pretty powerful PC build. Let's do this game, I reckon. Oh, I did it. Right, so I probably just went up another level. Let's just quickly check that. No, level 2, there was a flash. But see available points. So that did go up. So I can actually assign a luck point. But I mean, that's great. So there's a flicker on the screen whenever there's anything meaningful happening to your character. Yeah, so no sense of nauseousness coming up these stairs like I had yesterday. I just found any time there was an altitudinal change, that was the hardest for me to process. That's become a lot easier. Right, so risking a little bit there. Where's my health at? Yeah, I'm getting the potion thing territory soon. Right, some coins, yay. Part of that. Yeah, this is a lot better than it was yesterday, running around the same zone. There might have been something over here. So it's a good patch. They've put out a good update. And so again, what you might not experience at home is things like the light streaming in to the side of my face and the way it reflects off everything. You get this real sense of 3D. People will make comments that the skeletons don't cast shadows and whatnot, but they do light up based on stepping into the light. And it's the subtleties of that, like over there, that skeleton is lit up from the light behind him. And the way it captures the very curved lines of his body just makes the suspension of the engagement is 100%. It just feels magic. Okay. So to get that, I have to actually put my weapon away, as my understanding. There is same again. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just quickly put my weapon away, grab that. Okay, that's good. Put that away. Oh, another weapon. Brilliant. So the fact they're not predictable in their sword swings in terms of where they come from and the angle they come at, I'm really enjoying that. If you play a beat 'em up game and you're trying to figure out, am I doing a low block or a middle block, you know, you're looking at the frames of animation from where the punch is being telegraphed from, I guess, or where it's coming from. But when you're playing a game like this and at you know, 90 frames a second or whatever frame rate it's at, trying to figure out what the angle changes at the last moment and what you know, is the trajectory of the arc of the swing, you can do it. Like, it is something that the technicalities of the speed of the playback really help with that immersion factor. Yep. So there's somewhere else in the castle we're going to find the ability to open that, apparently. That's obviously blocked off. We can go downstairs into the skeleton area underneath this. Probably a few skeletons up there too I can go and beat. So I'm going to do that. Just on a mild coin collecting run. Weapons or objects I pick up along the way. So, I mean, there's two things that are happening. One is either I'm getting my legs for playing these types of games, or they've improved it. You could say it's a little from column A, a little from column B. Anyone that's watched my earlier videos saw that I wasn't set to snap turn. But I just want the ability, if I go multiplayer in this game, to not play for half an hour or 45 minutes and then go, oh, I've got to stop playing, and like be 5 minutes from finishing a campaign with a bunch of friends and not be any good. So just so that I've got my full stamina, I'm playing it this way. I just don't want to let my team down if it ever comes to that. So I'm seeing less drops. When I ran through here yesterday, everyone was dropping coins. Oh, nice. So there was another flick there indicating I probably went up at some level. There we go, strength is up. No, it isn't. That's up. Okay, everything's looking fairly straightforward. I definitely had a lot more weapons in my inventory by this time yesterday, so I mean, I'll come over and I'll break the barrels and okay, so I could pick that crystal up just by pulling the joystick towards me. Ooh, red one. So I've just picked up two different coloured crystals that I've never seen before. Blood chunk. The one before that was a darker grey than any I've previously seen. Barrels are pretty resistant against piercing damage. Yeah, okay, so I'll do these barrels over here. This is not the way I like to play my immersive medieval walking simulators. I actually prefer it when you walk to the furthest niches of it. You know, you see some distant mountain peak, you walk up there and if there's no treasure chest rewarding you for that walk, I like that. too many modern games, it doesn't matter where you go in the game, you've got to get the piece of cheese. They've got to reward you for walking somewhere. And it kind of means that you feel like you're hampering your character by not walking everywhere. Whereas this year is the first time I've ever played a game where it feels fully immersive, and one of the reasons that showed me that yesterday was the time it takes to walk from the little village you start off with to come out here and kill a few skeletons. And I'd come out and cleared out this little zone, and then I found the walk back to town. Now you must remember, I've walked out of town, I've gone up, and I've gone down, and I've come back. So I've actually walked most of the way back to town already, because I've done the rest of the loop, and here we are. But I found that walking from here back to town felt like it took a while, right? And it did, because it's a large sort of a zone. But when you play a lot of video games, that all happens really, really quickly. And when you play one of these immersive worlds and you get a sense of scale, you really do feel sometimes like distances are involved. So I feel like I've got my little pattern down for those ones. Okay, so yep, the standard silver crystals that don't come up with a scroll, you can't pick them up using the quick pickup method. I'll have to put my weapon away to pick that one up, I believe. Okay, so he's got either more hit points or I did less damage because I was swinging like crazy. Could be either or. Oh, look at that. Decent weapon. Okay, so I think these are starting to get the peasant territory. You can see straight through his mid-body. He's a skeleton. You can't see through his mid-body. He's wearing clothes, right? He's waggling his sword as if he's still alive. A little bit malnourished, I reckon. Probably do with a bit of protein in his diet. Get that little muscle mass back. But yeah, the way that skeleton comes out of the darkness into the light is fantastic. The way you can look at the light through their ribcage or... Yeah, so he's a lot harder. He's a lot harder. Okay, good. So 1 of 10 of the corrupted peasants. Okay. Ooh, got my hatchet. Yeah. I like the hatchet. Alright, so at this point, what I'll do is I'll just look out here, just to show people at home, the next zone of the game. You can see we've got that Dark Souls sort of feel where you make progression into an area, you get a new challenge, you get something a little bit difficult to then do, and it's got that feel. It is that game. It is just fantastic. So I'm going to go to menu, I'm going to save if such a thing exists. Alright, at this point I could go main menu. I feel like I should kind of run back to town. Again, if I load here and there's a couple of bad guys in this zone, I'm setting myself up for trouble because it might respawn the world. So just don't want to, decades of gaming has taught me some basics. One is don't save in an area where you're going to find yourself in trouble when it reloads. That is fantastic. So the light reflecting off the bars, because it wrecks my contrast and therefore my ability to see, it's easy to move that off the screen and then look at the darkness. The contrast range on these OLED screens is fantastic. The immersion is just incredible. I did find it a lot better to play yesterday with headphones on because obviously the sound matched my environment. When I'm playing it this way, it's very easy for me to get turned around for the right sounds to come to my left ear and vice versa. Wow, look at that. Getting me yesterday. Okay, so the patch has changed up the random treasure generator, or the item generator. We're definitely getting different pickups today. They might have improved the balance in the game in terms of fiscalities. But one of the laws of the game, the rule set in the game is that if you want to get your life back, or your mana back, it's probably the red, the embers, no not embers, what do we call, anyway, it's this nice zone around a fire. Let me just quickly bring that up, probably already, no, what's that one? I'm just going to click there. Okay, so So that's slowly coming up. Well, quite slowly at this point. It's 2 points on my bar is 1 point of health. So over time that might improve greatly. So I've gone up the same couple of levels. It's basically identical. I'm not seeing the experience bar per se, that must be that. This is terrific. It's really, really solid. But a more compelling, more addictive game. Oh, I just want to play this game. It's too good. So that there is a market. Is it worth spending the money? Yes. Yes, it is. This is one of the better purchases that a person can make, I absolutely believe. So look, I'll race over there. There we go. I feel like I've exited properly. And, well, there we go. Always losing my sense of bearings for where I am in my zone. Something that this game, amongst the games I own, which is a few, this game seems pretty unique, getting me so immersed that it's like, I can play this game for hours. Anyway, that's me signing off. Raw till I'm sore. This is Legendary Tales. This is the first patch we've had in the first week of the game coming out. It's the PlayStation 5 version, but the PC version, it's out on both platforms. Highly recommend this game. It's made by a very committed development team who seem to under-promise and over-deliver. And it looks like they're going to continue to polish and love this product. So I'd say it's a must-buy. It's probably one of the best, most immersive games we've had come to these platforms. So if this is what we've been waiting for, it's come out, it's here, it's out right now. But join the journey. I'd say get it right now. It's totally playable. It's going to get better over time, and let's support these developers.